King's Row. Let's discuss Hanamura.
Gameplay?
Yeah, I'm recording right now.
Sweet. I'm gonna go with either Bagel or both then.
Okay. So... Let's look at defending comp first. You have something that's like... Don't know if I like this. So let's think what this composition is good against. Well, if the enemy is running triple tank, or quad tank rather, which you sometimes see on this first point, you do have the halt to slow them down. You have an anti-nade, which is fantastic. You have a hog hook, which is good. What you lack is a major source of damage. You don't have a Junkrat, you don't have a Zenyatta to really punch through their massive heal pool and health pool and heal pool and defensive capabilities. Well, also you lack the like general like anti-dive. You have the tanks here, sure, and D.Va in general is good against Winston, for instance, but D.Va isn't going to be able to follow around Genji or Tracer. And so if I'm running dive against this composition, what I do is I get people through this window or through the choke and slowly start like split pushing you and taking it real slowly. Dive is not looking to jump anyone here outside of maybe Liana, but Liana should be positioning like way back here or along this bridge at such a distance where she's able to still help her team because she's a sniper, a sniping healer, and with a Lucio next to her, most likely, or a Zenyatta, but she's unable to be jumped immediately from the choke. There has to be set up, in which case, if the dive tanks jump here, and then on top of Dojo here, she just rotates, you know? So Ana is fantastic here. Ana on Hanamura has ample sight lines and ample retreat paths. Fantastic pick. Soldier wants high ground, wants distance, is in general fine. I don't think triple tank defense does too much. Like, the Lucio doesn't make sense with like the Orisa here, who's just trying to hold a position. Lucio would only be okay if they're trying to run quad tank into you and you need to speed away from them as they rush you. But if that's what you're assuming, then like I don't think this makes sense. And I don't think like you could just send Yada here. And you just build tire every fight. But still, it's a composition that seems to want to like brawl it out. We have D.Va pretty much primarily for heals and controlling the minimal amount of high ground. You do have the issue that if they have a Hanzo or a Widow set up, you're really kind of screwed. You don't have any good way of contesting them. If D.Va goes by herself, she's likely to just get demeched. Now let's look at this from the attacking side. Oh, okay, so we're running a Bastion comp. By the looks of it, we're going to pocket Bastion and we're going to get by that. Well, that's going to work reasonably well. In that the shield war will likely go in our favor initially. But if we don't make use of it right away, then by times Bagel's maybe like third shield comes up, Reinhardt's is gone from the spam here. And Reinhardt is now a liability. And so if you don't get where you need to go by that third shield, Reinhardt's effectiveness is going to drop. So it's going to be on this team to probably force people back by walling up here. Force these guys out of line of sight. Rotate up this way, resting shield, and come around the back. An approach point from like this entrance, and then set up and do it again. I fear that like all Orisa has to do is like there's a bell here, right? In the middle. So if the Bastion's setting up on the stairwell here, the entire team can kind of just like line of sight the Bastion around the bell and force him to reposition to actually contribute to a fight, while the fight actually takes place on like this half of the point, if this is the edge here. And here's another entrance. So like Bastion's immobility is really going to hurt him here, and he's going to require resources from one person to constantly kind of keep him up. The Tracer's going to be largely on her own. Thankfully, there's not too much that worries her. There's Hook, yes. There's Helix Rocket, sure. But she has a lot of room back here to play with and no one to really follow her once that happens. So if anyone gets picked here by the surprise Bastion, then Tracer is going to make their return to first point a living hell.
You don't record?
So I'm not a huge fan of this, and it's very much a flavor that this team likes to pull out.
No, I used to, but once I got a...
This composition has like a huge issue against dive defense, mind you. They only have one person that dive defense even cares about. So you can get up, set up the choke. You see literally no one. Dive tanks are holding up here with like an Ana Zen somewhere back here. All line of sighting you, maybe Genji up here and Tracer over here. And they're like, just walk in. And where do you go? Do you go straight to point? You don't have speed. And when you do that, your Bastion, who's not set up, is going to get jumped. Also, you're playing in a rather like tight-knit group, so your Mercy won't have a shit ton of people to like Guardian Angel to for free. You also don't have a Lucio to get you through to the point safely. Your best bet against dive defense is probably going this way. At which point, these tanks come over here and just wait for you, like, kind of here or up here, as best they can, while the Genji's raining down on you from up here, and they're slowly whittling you into a corner. So by the time you get to, like, the entranceway over here that leads stairway down into the point, into the bell, Genji has built up some ultimates. Tracer probably has gotten some poke in, and if they contest you all on that one thing, they're going to overwhelm your one direction of defense and just kill this Bastion. Seems difficult. They should be able to kill Bastion in the duration of a defense matrix. As dive, if you go this way.
Right.
So I think this is kind of weak against
I think they might have a Bastion.
Also, you don't have anything to contest a sniper, which isn't unheard of on this map.
What the fuck?
I like the Tracer pathing.
Tracer's around the right.
Tracer's right, up top. Should probably rotate into it.
Bastion.
Yeah, they have a Bastion.
They got a Bastion.
Play corner, play
That's-
corner, play corner.
Play corner. Play corner is a good thing to do. Grip's not really playing the corner. See how they're just line of sighting you and they're giving you this pathway? Now Bastion has accomplished his objective, but the harder one of getting in unscathed is coming. Because if you get hooked here...
Got the Bastion, got the Bastion.
Nice. Call targets.
Ooh.
I threaded the fucking needle on that one.
I don't mind that pin. If you can get a trade here on D.Va Mech or D.Va herself, and then reset and then come in 5v6.
I'm going in there. It's D.Va right
I
in
don't
there.
know where the Tracer
Tracer
is.
behind me.
There's Tracer.
Run.
D.Va back. D.Va hooked. Oh, I died. Fuck.
Where's Tracer?
So this fight became chaotic. The only real damage source on this team now, outside of, you know, a D.Va boosting in the face of someone here. So D.Va doesn't have any good targets except Ana, who's never going to be close enough. Soldier will run away or drop station. Hawk takes forever and you want to avoid him, and D.Va versus D.Va is not really a matchup. The only damage here is really from the Bastion or Tracer on a good target. Who does Tracer go after? This will take a bit. You can do it, but it'll take a bit. Hog takes forever to kill. Assumably, Orissa's never without a healer present, and these two are pocketing each other. Tracer doesn't really have a great target. I don't think Tracer's ever a bad pick, and there are certainly good bombs you can do as you build your ultimate, but it's going to rely on the Bastion taking much of the team's attention.
They're all in a room. You guys can
They're
run.
all hallway?
Like you guys can run over them.
Baby Diva. Nice.
I think Moira's still. Oh, okay, there she is.
See, Tracer doesn't need to reset here. So if I were Tracer, instead of spending 2 blinks this way, I'd spend them this way and go back this way. This way, if you go back to the second point, you have ample health packs to heal yourself up. You have your bomb and to look for picks when your team approaches, and most importantly, this team has to consider more than just this choke. Okay? Your job as Tracer, as probably the best flanker in the game, sometimes needs to be just running distraction and keeping teams from solely focusing the rest of the lineup. Keeping their attention split. You know? I don't know why everyone's in front of the shield here with a presumed Bastion over here, but they're certainly feeding ultimates and running risks. They don't
Crap, you
need
got
to.
pull.
I'm coming back. I died to
Alright, so the opening for this fight is likely going to be bomb.
spam in the corridor.
For that reason, and knowing Tracer's over here, Ana Lucio, just get back. I mean, this bridge here is fine too, I suppose. I just want to see him playing a little bit further back.
Shields out, care. 2 seconds.
Good, Rondo. That was an excellent eat.
I like us
with
Tracer recall down.
I'm back.
Alright, we see them going this way. Fade down.
Going all the way around.
Hog does not seem to have been in position for a possible hook.
Shields out, care. 2 seconds.
like us
with
Tracer recall down.
Okay, as this team comes in, since they don't have speed, they're easily broken up by either hook or by halt. Do we see either of those here?
They're going up top.
As far as I can tell, no. So during this transition by the attacking team, the defending team needs to put a lot of damage into this if they're moving closely together, and if people are split, they need to accurately focus that. Hooks and halts are what should change or prevent this from happening. Also on a nade, but we're sleep.
Yeah, they're going around, right?
Go meet him at the point.
never mind.
Don't chase them.
And nanovisor you?
He goes in super hard. He should lose
Is
mech.
this a good run?
Tracer's
Yeah,
on
when
point.
they come
Rondo instantly feeds. Yep. Okay. You see how he has to reposition every time he wants to do something? I'm not sure what's triggering this ultimate. These guys are really, really safe, honestly, from Visor. Between Matrix and just what's his name's shield, you shouldn't be able to do anything with Visor, and this is poorly executed.
And chill low.
And we nano it. Did we do anything with that? No. We just used 2 ultimates defensively for no reason. This should result in us losing this point. Absolutely. Now that they've absorbed us, they have time to heal back up, and then they can re-engage with their ultimate, plus their ultimate, plus their ultimate. And we don't have anything to really look at. I mean, Boat Mode's thing is a good ultimate, but it's
Low.
not good
Tracer on
enough.
point.
Alright, here they come.
Play point.
Tracer dead.
This position allows him to see, like, this bit of point, I think. There's no reason to stand in his line of sight. You can just, like, walk away. You literally don't have to do anything here. It's on the attacking team as they're burning their Valk.
Mercy low.
Bongo.
Alright, Beat's fine, Bongo's fine. How does this keep happening to you, Bagel? How much time did you have?
Play point.
Tracer dead. Mercy low.
Bongo.
You had infinite time to just walk behind a corner. At least she dies. Thank God.
How did it kill me? Did it kill my shield?
It was inside your shield.
Maybe
Nice.
shield went
Okay,
down.
Mercy's down. Alright, I'm gonna go get Bagel.
Because we're 2 down.
Alright, let's take a stock of what ultimates were used. Well, Rondo has his mech, but we use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And other team used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the start of the push. So 5v5, and we didn't end up losing the fight. That seems fine. Unfortunately, Hammer Down is still in play. And it's really hard to leverage this ultimate first point, particularly against a shield comp with D.Va. So I don't even count this one right now. Maybe second point, I will, but right now not. We can build another one of these 2 in the coming time.
We're 2 down. Should I knock
Lucio
him?
went back to get Ursa.
That's you.
so
You're
Oh
the-
yeah, that's me. I was like, who's 2?
whatever.
Thanks.
Tracer's coming in.
Tracer needs to spend this time setting up on a flank.
They're off Bastion.
Are they? They have Hog. What does Hog afford them? Well, they don't have a lot of shield break, which actually makes this worse for them. The longer they stay in like a neutral position, the longer this is going to work against Reinhardt's shield, while alternatively, they only have Hog. So I think I like this switch less. It's like they're looking for a sustained battle, but they don't have like the tools to do so. Anti-nade really kind of fucks them. Speed boost speed boost to peel and boop people away also kind of prevents the like rush down, and they don't have a. I don't know what their opening is. I assume it's somehow getting a huge shatter or bomb, and that's how this is going to open up. Otherwise, I don't really understand. I think he needs to not be here. He just be with your team.
Tracer going top right.
There goes the shield. The anti is weak. Unfortunately, it's only one person who's unlikely to die from it.
They're doing it
This would be a fantastic hook opportunity.
again.
Flank.
Shield's down.
How do you miss that? Fuck. Did we halt as they came in? These guys are, like, they're playing so split. You notice how no one's behind this Rhine shield, even as it shatters? That's incredibly sloppy.
Tracer going top right.
The nade attempt, like, it was good to look for the nade there. It just happened to land on the wrong person.
They're doing it again.
There's the halt. It gets eaten because it's a little misplaced. You can place it to the side to force her to at least look elsewhere so that your spam comes in. But you need to be, like, Hog needs to be playing in conjunction. Right now, he is fed a good amount of ult charge here.
Flank.
Shield's down.
Fuck.
They switched to triple tank.
Point. Get a point. Rotate her in.
Get the point. Get the point.
Hog, once again, just playing in front of the shield.
Got shield behind you guys. If you need.
Alright, so they're engaging with this because they take a lot of damage in here. This placement. Let's look at this positioning. There's no reason for Ana to be here. Like, the team in general doesn't really need... should just be looking to fight on, like, this half of the point. And with that, Ana can be way the fuck back here so she's never in danger of being shattered whatsoever. Alternatively, because they don't have too much to fuck with you, you can send, like, your tracer, soldier, whatever over here. I don't know about that. It's like if you set it on the flank, they might be able to get around the Rhine shield a little bit, so you have people on one side of the Rhine shield and people on the other side. The problem is if they push the group that has remained on point, these people won't be able to assist readily. So to that end, I'd probably leave like soldier here, and then both the healers here. Maybe something like that. Regardless, this is a preemptive ultimate. These people aren't taking a shit ton of damage right now. And you're unable to get your beam on a large number of enemies as well. With this team should just back up. Even despite the Ana position, even the tanks can just like retreat for a bit and recontest when this is further down, maybe like just under a tick. Nothing special needs to happen here. If you drag this fight out, they might not get a good second contest. I think the Tracer's still like up here too. Is this bomb good? It can be to split the team. It's unlikely to get anything, but
I'm stuck.
God damn it.
Tracer.
look who was close. I don't see where the
Shield
Tracer
behind you
went.
guys, if you need.
Way too fucking close.
I'm stuck.
Boat just kind of like leaves them out to dry too. What is Boat doing? How is he
I'm
providing?
stuck.
God damn it.
Tracer behind
I
us.
moved out of the way.
Fuck.
There's the hammer. It's become fucking sloppy.
Oh. Right
Call
on top
targets,
of it.
guys.
Down,
Alright,
down.
well,
Where-
bomb really kind of opens it up here, and then some people just lost track of where the Tracer was.
Mercy behind, back up, backside of point.
I think they have it. Well,
Yeah,
you
I was
can.
just stalling.
Yeah. I'm not gonna go.
I got beat a second time at least, right before I died.
Alright.
Playing triple tank, but they don't have a defensive ult.
Yeah, they don't need a defensive ult because they're on attack. You need a defensive ult on defense because if they get wiped by some ultimate that a defensive ult would prevent, then they just reset. If you get wiped by one, you lose the game, essentially. So as we transition to second point,
Should I stay hog? Should I switch? What do you want me to do?
Switch.
They're gonna have a free shatter.
all right, how much
I got beat
ultimate
a
did we
second time
lose?
at least, right before I died.
Winston.
That's a shame. We lost halfway to Bongo. Bongo is immensely impactful. I would absolutely try to build another Bongo in the meantime, because Arissa's perfectly fine against this. You don't really want Winston against this. There's no one to jump. And being near half the crew here is like fucking awful for you. I think Arissa's fine. If you really do want to go Winston, build Supercharger using it in a fight. So you don't
Playing
sacrifice your
triple
ult
tank,
economy
but
and then
they
swap.
don't have a defensive ult.
Should I just switch to Reaper?
Should I stay hog? Should I switch? What do you want me to do?
Switch.
They're gonna have a free shatter. They shield. Try to
They're coming top left.
not to stay
Alright,
together.
can we get like an actual point of view of this? Because I want to discuss what I expect from this map. Alright, well, we're not going to quite get it just yet. So let's stop before things progress a bit more. Okay, so the attacking team, well, let's understand the defensive positioning first. Soldier and Ana, well, Soldier in particular really wants this high ground, or like this catwalk here. And to hit people on point from there. Bearing that, he has like this stairwell back here that leads to like coastal side. But it's really these two high grounds that he wants. He can get a lot of value against a team like this. The only person he has to worry about really is D.Va getting to him, as Tracer has not the greatest approach to get there a lot of the time, particularly on this high ground here. To make that positioning strong, you want people with long sight lines healing him. Ana is perfect for this, Zen is perfect for this. Lets you play more spread out, but still not be detrimentally under-healed. To that point, Winston is good because he can switch between high ground and low ground at a moment's notice, along with D.Va. Hog does not do that. Hog is more like we're deciding to camp on point, behind point, and daring people to come to us. And to that point, Hog's not really working. I would like to see instead maybe a flanker against their composition. I think Farah could do a lot of work, honestly. Farah won't have anyone to contest her, which should get barrage every other fight. Junkrat also could do a lot of work here. Although the bombs are maybe a little bit harder to rain from, below this high ground that they're taking. So why is the attacking team taking high ground if they have no one to leave there? Well, they gotta make sure that he isn't there, and then they can drop down to point. There's a little bit of setup they want to do here first, and while they take this, they're forcing people away from it back down to point where they're looking to actually fight, or around the sides. Tracer's going to try to find an opening on the Ana or the Soldier, and build a bomb, and get going with that. Keys of this fight are going to be Shatter, hitting actual people, bombs, visor, and to an extent nano usage. I'm not really concerned about nano, the more I think about it. It's great with visor, it can clean up people, but unless the Soldier has the positioning for visor to be good, it doesn't matter. It's just going to accentuate the problem, or really contribute to its success. This is a huge thing, though. A defensive ultimate in a crucial moment could really turn a fight. If they get a shatter off and you beat in response, well, the Shatter is unlikely to win the fight cleanly. So the keys to this here are 1, 2, 3, and 4. If I had to pick 2 people from each side.
That's good too.
They're coming up.
There are. Coming up.
So we're jumping up here. There's the Ana in the back.
On the point.
Oh, you slept him.
I got moved way down the point.
Didn't I? Oh, shit!
Still gets killed. Alright, this wasn't cleanly enough done. Where is our soldier? Our soldier's nicely positioned back here. He's perfectly safe. Given the chance, he has the access to come up here. If a moment should break out, these 2 on point are not really doing what they need to do. Like, Ana can easily just do the same shit from way the fuck back here and be perfectly fine. She'll have sightlines of the soldiers, you have sightlines of her team, and anyone who goes up here. She can safely anti or sleep people on point. No reason to be here, and boat mode should make sure that the Tracer doesn't get on him. Now that, however, the Ana is safe from a potential flank, he can be more aggressive, he can assist his team, he can push people down here so they have a long-ass walk to come back. Boat mode is more free to do shit, but the Ana positioning here is not great. I don't think we need any other ultimate besides Grapes here. We can, in conjunction with the Nano, to clean this, and we can just slowly start rotating ults and cleaning the rest of them up.
They're purple.
Good
watch
anti.
Purple.
Definitely do not need beat here.
Watch Ryan.
He's in a fantastic position here.
Ryan behind
Ryan
us.
Ryan
is
low, Ryan
feeding.
Ryan low.
Yep.
I'm on Mercy.
They're down 1. Hog on our left.
Clean
Mercy's
everyone
one.
up.
Mercy low.
Hog down. They're down 2.
Is there any reason why you can't use speed to push up and get the rest of these people?
Alone.
Anyone could push.
A little delayed.
They regrouped back there. We should back out a little bit.
That seems
You guys-
fine. Look how far we are into Nano. Look how far we are into Visor.
Want me to say Lucio or switch off?
You guys want to hold?
I think Lucio, I don't know, I feel like it's working.
I mean, I agree, but 'cause
Alright, so let's talk about the attacking team swaps. I would prefer Zen here, absolutely. The Discord will go a long way. The ultimate is better, kind of. And his healing is better across this map. We have swapped to someone we can leave on high ground for the attackers, and we swapped to a Reaper. Now, I'm not so sure what Reaper is going to do here. If you're playing Winston, you can play Winston into Reaper. You really can. Reaper's range is fucking small. Particularly with the D.Va back you up, a lot has to happen for you to die. And if, like, you're a Reaper on high ground and Winston jumps you, he has his bubble to protect him briefly, and then he can retreat downwards to his team. In which case, if you come down, suddenly you're the focus. So Reaper doesn't control the high ground. He's no good across the long sightlines in this map. I would have preferred a Widow, a flanker like Genji, maybe to get on this back line. I don't think you're going to find a lot going here. So this team kind of just wants to deathball into point, leaving the soldier on the high ground. To which point, like, this might be okay, but I don't think you need double main healer to do that. Meanwhile, the longer they stall you out on point, and they have ample ways of kind of staying alive through your shit on your approach and wearing you down without your Lucio here. As they wear you down, like, their soldier's going to get a shit ton of value.
Could something work better?
They now have soldier and Reaper.
I don't have beat, so it'd be a good time. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah,
You should already know what you
do-
wanted to swap to.
Do we
I have a
want
Reaper,
Zen
so I don't
do we want Zen
think
instead?
so.
That's really
I mean,
my
you could go
question.
Zen,
This whole discussion is kind of...
but they don't have Hog anymore.
Alright, so they're going to take this high ground away. Which I guess that's where he was. So they force him down. It's hard to kind of see. I don't know where boat mode is. So, like, boat mode would have been served either, like, boat mode should be ferrying someone around right now. And he's not doing that. It's probably soldier in the situation, since the Ana against this composition is in no danger whatsoever. The soldier needs to retreat probably back to this corner here or this corner here. If he goes to the left, he has this high ground to play with. If he goes to the right, he can swing back around for this one and visor from there. Depends what you want. Rondo missing that is a problem. Bagel jumping, Bagel just, that's actually fine by Bagel. Him jumping in, I'm not so sure is a good idea.
I got the soldier.
He's just not dying fast. Seems fine. So now you're looking to collect the rest of them. Just go aggressive.
I'm on the
Ryan low.
Ryan low.
Ryan down.
Pushing up.
That's 2. Push up.
Jumping up.
Bow mode can't make the jump. Soldiers out here trying to get
you.
the people from
Going up
behind.
around behind
Excellent.
Where's that diva?
Nice. All right, let's get back.
Flew into the middle.
Oh, we're down one. Soldier, soldier, soldier,
All right,
soldier.
back up, back up.
Where?
Oh, okay.
He's going for the
couldn't
nigga.
get him.
Yep, that's perfectly acceptable.
Call alts.
They're going up top again.
They might have bombed soon. Soldier's probably
They're
about
coming up left.
3/4.
This camera angle's fucking wonky. Alright, so we see Bagel has dropped down here after receiving some amount of poke. Seems fine. We have a hog up here. That also seems fine. We're looking to looking as Lucio to ferry these people around. I don't know where Anna's located, but really anywhere off screen back here is fantastic. Perfectly good.
Soldier down.
Nice hook.
Just not getting picks.
They're
Push
coming up.
them.
I'm behind him.
They got res. Soldier res.
Here's the problem with Reaper.
Watch it.
He just stunned himself for 5 seconds. And he's dead.
Beat up the
Nice.
diva.
Jumping.
It's really hard to leverage Reaper. Good
Ryan's out of
anti.
position. Nice.
Pushing.
Not even being forced to use ultimates. Good, good, good. This last fight here is going to
Alright, backing up.
take a while.
Nice, nice.
Why would we visor here?
Alright, backing up.
I mean, I don't mind it in that it staggers people further, but it's
Nice
not the
hook.
reason why you get this
That
kill.
was fat, dude.
Yeah, okay.
I'm trying.
All right, back up, back up, back up. They're
Backing
coming in.
backing up.
Honestly, you can keep pushing them. They're down 2. If you really
Let's
wanted to.
go.
Alright. What are we
You can just keep
using, guys?
cycling ult and
I
rebuild
beat-
visor.
I'd like to save it.
Oh,
Did they use
crap, I
anything upright?
guess?
Oh, whoops.
We use visor.
Should be it.
I have nano though.
They're gonna come in with like all 6 ultimates to your 4.
Diva's top right.
Diva
or
stop.
left.
There's no reason to use that early. You should know you have an ult disadvantage because you used 2 in the last fight, and they haven't used anything in a while. You're probably going to need this to stall. Alright, so this more ultimate also just seems kind of random. People aren't really engaged. People aren't terribly low. You're not going to get multiple people with the beam. You can wait for your team to drop down. And then get multiple people who are both contesting the point offensively and defensively in your action. I don't mind this flank too much. I do think he's going... Oh, they're both there. Could be fine.
Oh shit! I got pinned.
That's awkward. Why are you in this guy's face?
Call targets.
Okay, it worked.
Ah, I didn't do anything.
Come down, come down.
Go soldier out for a little bit. That wasn't enough.
I have ult stall point.
Imagine if he had ult here.
Baby diva.
Shit.
They're gonna lose
Unless
this.
they're alive.
Or are they?
Reaper got me.
Get
Calling targets.
Reaper.
Reaper on points by himself. Nice.
More than 3/4. She pretty much fell.
How did that hit me? Wow.
Running Tracer to contest.
Good swap to stall. Yep. Yeah, the hog's not useful. Soldier's honestly not too useful either.
Okay.
How does Ana end up over there?
Too much fall.
How did that hit me?
Reaper got me.
Keep
Get
calling
Reaper,
targets.
Reaper.
Reaper on planes by himself. Nice.
So Ana jumps on to contest. No need to do that. You have only one person needs to contest this point at any given time. You're not contributing to your team by jumping on additionally. If you stay in this back pocket, you are perfectly safe, and you have better sight lines on the people you need to heal and the people beyond them who you can damage. Just
Nice.
More 3/4.
that's just a really bad positioning.
Too much fall.
How
Mistake.
did that hit me? Wow.
And we don't ever rectify it.
Rank trace.
We're alive for a while, and we just end up over here. Like, over here would be fine, honestly. But, like, it's much cleaner to just go back up here.
Okay.
On point.
I need to hear target focus from Team 40 here. When you're men down, it's really, really important that the remaining people are all killing the same thing. And we're just looking to stall here right now. If you get low, jump away. Have someone else come on, like Tracer. Wait for the response.
Ah!
I'm done.
Like, you're fighting for, like, the tick here as if it's the most important thing in the world, when really you're just worried about the full cap.
Oh, their soldiers just fucking tearing us up in the back line. I don't know if
Well,
we're
yeah,
gonna
because
do
no one
it.
can
You have
get
no
on.
one to
Can't get
contest
it.
them. Two people contesting at once.
Yeah, it's gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah, I could try to get to him, but I feel like I'm just trying to contest the point. It was like,
Yeah.
you know, damned if you do.
Alright, so what happened there? We used a couple ultimates preemptively, which would have been fine, but we didn't get value out of them. The beat drop on their initial engage didn't result in any of their deaths. Our Diva Bomb was in error as well. And so they contested with a large ultimate advantage coming into the last fight. And although we were able to stall it out a little bit, they built their own ultimates and overcame it with a nice shatter. Another more ult, a visor. Our stall game needs work from Team 40's perspective.
We
But you pushed them to
stayed
overtime.
up at the top for too long.
I think you're perfectly
Like, they
fine
had
to
gotten
fight there.
past you guys, so we needed to be more together there.
Yeah.
You can play really split on this map if your healers and your damage sources permit it.
You guys also completely stopped calling targets or tracking ults
Yep.
for the last like minute of the game.
Rez is correct.
Yeah.
You didn't have a plan.
I choked on the hook at the end.
There's Sombra on this. Friend from old
Well-
Hunter tactic of build ult and push because you can't build ult sim.
You're good. Yeah, Genji would be better.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you can hear the sirens in the background. Seems like there is a fire afoot. We're getting swatted. Yeah. Alright, so let's discuss team compositions here, assuming they're not going to change. We have a dive comp-ish thing coming out of Team 40 for attack. And we have basically anti-dive coming out from Team 37. Once again, with a defensive setup like this, you don't really need the Lucio. You can just position yourself well. I don't like really the spread here. You might as well just have your soldier back here. And your turrets kind of like back here maybe. I think the Torbjorn is fine. Torbjorn is generally good here. So I don't have too many issues with the defending comp. I have some issues with the attacking comp, in that where people are likely to go with their dive comp The Moira can't really follow. If you see an opportunity from here to jump, right? The Moira can't bypass a shield that's here. She just, yeah, just not really possible. The Reaper also doesn't have anything to do. So the dive comp is probably looking to avoid the first fight. Maybe jump up here. Reaper has to go all the way here to get to assist. He's not providing any sort of legitimate distraction. He'd be better served in a comp that's looking to speed onto people onto point. And dive isn't necessarily looking to do that.
It's more healing.
What would be good against this would be a sniper. To some extent, a Pharah. Probably not too much of Pharah. Sniper. If this was Widow, I'd like that a lot more. Especially how split they're playing.
See how useful I feel.
Turret behind us. Turret's done now.
You have a brief window to go in. Reaper's going to take control of this room, which is fucking dangerous.
76 top left. Oh, my jump's down.
There's a turret on the
Jumping
point,
too,
so
jumping
like
too.
actually jumping is gonna be rough.
So Genji can just go in and sit up here, honestly. Just harass from a distance. Perfectly safe.
Well, turret's after the effect.
No, I can't drive the soldier because of it, because it's shooting me.
I was on point.
Oh yeah, I can't heal you because you're out of line of
So like there's no reason why like this team can't kind of push the Reaper.
sight. Go get the health pack.
It's gonna go around.
First?
And they did. Yeah. Don't know what Reaper's accomplishing here. That is an extremely greedy peek. As Zen in this situation, there's no reason to spam into this shield because your team's not going to break the shield, so that spam's worthless. If you're looking to build ult, you need to aim at the positional mistakes of the shield and just kind of aim for between gaps and hope someone peeks. If there might be a position over here where you can actually see the turret, which is somewhere on this stairwell. Maybe that could contribute. But there's no reason to peek right now. You just staggered yourself further. And looks like that shield is a better place now.
He moved the turret to the right side of the point.
Mm-hmm. There it is.
Or are we just gonna like chill
Genji should be building blade right now. What's his blade at? 37?
in the entrance?
Well, we're down one.
I don't even see
I mean,
him.
we could go in 5v6.
Hang on.
Genji
Yeah.
needs to be building blade. Why Reinhardt?
There's no way for me to get mech back. I just have to switch back.
I see.
Go Rissa. Winston's not gonna work.
Alright.
What is the risk?
here.
Well, then we're gonna have to switch up completely.
No, we don't.
Right,
Just
then.
go Rissa.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
all
we
need
do.
to do.
We're not gonna be able to break shield if I go Orisa with this comp. There we go. I mean,
We did.
we're
just change
completely
spawns.
changing the game here.
And maybe we.
Yeah, we
did
haven't gotten a good push as Team 40 because we haven't committed to anything.
Need to. I can't get in with the turret because it's covering me.
Well, we haven't had a chance in 2 minutes because we've been down 1 or 2 like the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
That is also true.
Because that happens.
Yes, because we've been peeking when we were down.
You gotta commit to a fight.
Hook's down.
The shield's gone and suddenly Orissa's useless.
Shields up.
Meanwhile, they get the line of sight back here, and like if both of your shields break same time, who's benefiting? The people coming through the choke or the people in the entrenched defensive position?
Alright, so we're losing shield war now.
Mm-hmm. Stagger doesn't really matter. It's unfortunate, but it doesn't really matter. What's your win condition? Your win condition, I guess, is, and we've lost a lot of ult charge here too, so we're gonna be down in ult economy. Yeah, you need to split push against this. You need to find a way to harass them through sight lines. Maybe a sniper would work. People on flanks would work. Fighting this heads up is a fucking disaster waiting to happen. And you're gonna need a couple pushes to do it because of their ultimates now.
Alright, dudes. I know you're getting frustrated, but make a plan.
Let's go dive and
don't-
dive the point and I get picked. Or we could continue to lose shield war.
I'm gonna hold it for Molten Core, so let's go in. force him to use it.
Alright, we're all here.
Now the shield's there. This is untenable. You have to go this way. Because you don't have the resources to fight. And, okay. We're overlapping our shield with our defense matrix, which is kind of rough. We kind of want to use defense matrix to get in on this side and force them to sit back up on point so we can take a neutral fight. Because right now we're just standing here. Thankfully they used Molten Core for some reason. And then we use Trance for some reason. And then they use Coalescence for some reason. If instead, at the side of the Molten Core, we decided we have no reason to fight this, and we just backed out, suddenly, for like the 10 seconds of time, we got an ultimate out. And suddenly we were building ult economy again over them. If they also want to use Coalescence at the same time, then we were perfectly fine with that. There's no reason to fight into this.
Should I?
Go in.
But we have a later Coalescence to follow it up, so it seems fine. They still have this ultimate, which should absolutely wreck you, unless you get picks before it happens.
Aglo.
Yep.
Drop beat.
And everyone's dead. I don't think they needed the beat drop. But at least you took a fight and forced out literally all of their ultimates and got some kills from it.
Source it down.
Fuck.
Seems fine.
Lucio 1.
Grave needs to reset.
Regroup, come back. Soldier, come back. You're alone.
Alright, so now we have 2 ultimates to the 0. That's
Okay.
fine.
Alright, I got ult for last push. I could leave with it as we push and then follow you guys in.
This turret
Do
should
they
die.
have anything left except maybe bongos?
They just used it.
Yeah, they use Bungo.
Okay, they don't have anything then.
Here.
Let's go.
Torp pulled.
Ooh, no. You have the time, I think, to go this way. You might as well do it. And no one's taking this. But eating your mech this early is not good. But
Fire
this
long,
should
right?
still be won by you. Wow, that turret is completely unchecked.
Coming in.
Hello?
Flying in point.
Thank you. You made it through with your main tank, and they're down there.
Done.
Seems fine.
Lucio.
Soldier low.
Calls Lucio.
It's Lucio.
Stop bumping him around
Nice.
so people can shoot him. Fuck.
They've swapped to dive.
Alright. Unfortunately for the defending team, there's a large ultimate advantage coming out.
Okay.
Go high ground with this composition. Leave your soldier Zen on the platform, this catwalk here, most likely. And then go 2 point with these guys.
I have
If they're-
Transcendent.
If they dive, you want to stay top right. Try and get
Where are we pushing?
Let's take top lower right. At least start. Good soldier high ground. Can do that with comp at least.
Let's push in.
I hear Tracer.
Trying to come behind us.
What are we hesitating for?
Micro missiles down. Pushing.
There's no good angle of this. Coming through this narrow choke isn't... It's gonna cost resources. Okay. There's no reason to engage during this. You have time to just back up. But that could really work. Oh, I got one. That seems fine.
Pulling. Hello?
Alright.
I'm dropping. It's on top right. He's always low.
Need to pocket each other.
Tracer.
I don't know why they're
Lucio,
contesting us
Lucio,
on high
Lucio.
ground.
Alright, there's no need to visor here, right? Just yet.
Tracer. Bind.
Seems fine though.
Diva. Fine.
This positioning by these two is fantastic.
Is there a
Really?
glitch where you don't see
Slow.
Moira's damage on
Monkey,
Diva mech?
monkey.
Moira, fade down.
We're Lucio.
Go.
They have a widow. Left side.
Doesn't
Nice.
matter.
All right, nice. Guys.
Do you guys play it out, or do you guys just go back to the lobby?
I think you played out, right?
Yeah, I may as well play it out. As soon as you guys start.
Again? Or move on?
They haven't responded. Alright.
First.
Likes to bat ones.
Just once again, I wish.
Alright, they're running some cheese. This is perfect thing to run dive against to avoid this bullshit. If you're on a shield comp into this, you're gonna get walled off, and then you're gonna lose a significant shield bore, and it's not gonna be a good time. If you can split push your way in, or pick them off with some sort of sniper class,
Wish I got it. It's that.
or have a Pharah open things up and play above dojo here.
They're running the same thing.
You have?
Should be like 15 seconds in, you should be able to see their comp. We're, as dive comp, we really don't need to come through here. If this is too dangerous, just ignore it. There you go.
Watch hooks this
Sombra's got the
game,
idea.
guys. That was like.
Oh, they have a main
Doesn't
now.
make.
Oh,
You're gonna die.
They gotta make.
That
Yeah,
is
That's
different.
fine.
Shit, crap.
Okay, that's not good. You don't want to do that now.
On point.
I like the idea. So he's taking this health pack most likely in dojo. What he can do from there is rotate and take like this mini here and this mega and just constantly harass this individual until he breaks. In conjunction with the team dive. This is also too early, kind of.
I'll try and bait Maywall once we're all here.
Alright, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
I
push.
tried.
May is fighting Sombra on the side.
Got the man.
Got Moira.
Down two, they're down two. Push. We're gonna have
scored
respawn
monkey.
advantage.
Hog, I mean. I'm down. Fuck.
Why is Ana walking this far in? If you want to, you can just wait for a respawn advantage with Sombra just camping spawns for whoever died, and just pressure them through that way.
He's hacked.
You don't need to take this fight. 'Cause you're losing all your goodwill by taking
You
that.
shouldn't have pushed.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, we had respawn advantage. They were down two.
Yeah, so you might as you can take a trickle fight. The problem is you have a bunch of people going in against a shield comp and someone who's really tough to kill. So you should just wait for your respawn advantage. Their tanks are going to be able to deal with your backline in their position.
Yeah, I got hooked though.
Yeah, and your Zen went down.
Yeah, that might have been when we needed to call it.
It's okay.
We
Right now, the goal should probably be just wait for EMP.
needed to kill that hog before.
Build an
we
EMP,
able to move forward.
kill the Orisa in the EMP. Kill the hog in the EMP.
Man point.
What are we doing here? We're playing around with the fucking hook. Look how long these tanks are just gonna sit at this choke doing nothing. What are you
Man
doing?
point.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You deserve to get demaxed.
Push. They're purple. They're
Huge anti, that's nice.
purple.
Unfortunately, this hog
Have
ult is
EMP?
gonna completely negate everything you're trying to do.
Just regroup. We have one more shot.
Do you have trance?
Yeah.
Your tanks are not creating space whatsoever. If they jump up here away from this defensive positioning, then these guys are forced to reposition, which will alleviate pressure here and allow the rest of the team to come in. Granted, the only people Junkrat coming up here and spamming from up here does the same exact thing. Sombra attacking from second point areas does the same exact thing. The team needs to create space for their supports.
Oh, you don't
Yep,
have yet.
you'll get a
Almost.
push.
I will.
Instead, you're just Junkrat hasn't done anything either.
Just wait for my call on EMP.
Oh, bro, can you hack the hog?
Junkrat could have come boosted into here, you know?
Just hack him, and then we can jump in.
You're playing like there's
I
a
have
wall
PvP,
here,
So yes.
like walls here,
And
that
go in,
prevent you from
and then
doing
we'll dive.
anything.
I'm
Okay.
at 98, so.
No,
Going
get it.
in. Go, 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 go.
Oh,
Wait. What?
How the
And
fuck
plant.
did you get out of mech?
You got literally no one in that.
Go, go, go.
The EMP is probably okay. It's a little preemptive. It's a good reaction by them to be spread out for this,
oh,
and a good reaction of them to pop this visor. Yeah, you deserve. Yeah.
What?
How-
Wait.
I'm at 98, so.
Going in.
How
Go,
isn't
go,
the
go,
hog hacked here? You didn't get the hog.
oh,
Wait. What?
How the
And
fuck
plant.
did you get out of mech?
The hog's gonna be behind
Going
this
in.
rock.
Go, 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 go.
So we can commit a lot of resources onto someone who's not going to kill him. I wouldn't give this to Bagel. I'd not give this to the Diva. If you're trying to kill a target really fast, Diva will do that from close range.
oh,
Wait. What?
How the
And
fuck
plant.
did you get out of mech? Discord May?
I was.
A Bongo needs to die.
Oh, they're dropping me.
You
Alright.
didn't. Kill it. Alright, it's a draw.
oh, it draws. I thought
Yep.
they
Yeah.
had another chance.
No, because
we have Gibraltar. Ooh,
They
I
go
love
for
Gibraltar.
overtime.
Alright, so this is something that Fuzzbug brought up to me. That Team 40 is going to try to run a defensive dive on this map. So everyone is pretty much familiar with how a shield tank defense works. You have the shield kind of posted here or posted here on the corner, somewhere along this corner. And then you have people behind the shield raining down as the payload makes its trek this way, right? And then once they get the payload under this car wash here, you kind of rotate your shield back here and drop down on the other side of the car wash, leaving people on high ground or having them rotate into this like cyber dark area and taking a fight advantage with them pushing uphill. And additionally, you have a whole bunch of damage left on high ground, and they have issues contesting. So, because of this shield dynamic, and the disadvantage a shield comp has pushing the payload under with this underpass, what people have done instead is they start running dive. Dive is great on Gibraltar on pretty much all of the points. The high ground areas are plentiful and overlook very, very important spots on the map. So, for dive defense, what you do is you start with your team up basically on this block, and when they push the payload underneath this bridge here that I'm highlighting, you drop down on them. You don't use your movement abilities, you just simply drop onto the team on the payload. Your healers probably rotate here depending on who they are. If it's like Zen Lucio, they stay here. When the people who drop down to payload get low, they use their movement abilities to return to this high ground, out of line of sight, out of fire from a bunch of people, and they receive heals. So a typical comp for this would be Genji, Winston Diva, with Mercy, Widow, Zenyatta. So Mercy, Widow, Zenyatta set up here. The tanks and the Genji will end up here as the payload is coming underneath. Those three will drop down, and when they're low, they will return to the high ground and be healed by the Mercy and the Zenyatta orbs. So you create a tremendous crossfire and chaos on the payload itself. And then you die on payload so they don't get a lot of distance, because fighting down here is like a shit show anyway. So you stop the payload here, you probably lose the fight just because of spawn advantage, but you're just looking to eat time off the clock delay as long as possible with people stalling on the payload to make it hell for them. And then they finally get to push the payload, and suddenly you have another good contest right at where everyone else holds the final point, here on the corner here, as this bends upward and around. Okay? Leaving, and then your hit scans can stay on the high ground with your Zenyatta and maybe your Mercy, and people can fly back and forth. You get to play great Widow duels over this high ground, and the dive tanks can, so since you don't have a shield here, your dive tanks are basically sitting on this high ground and this high ground, and they jump vulnerable targets, or more importantly, drop under vulnerable targets and use their mobility cooldowns to retreat to safety. So what do you do against this? Well, you need to deny, as the attackers, deny the defenders this high ground. So you run dive yourself, mind you, and from the upper part of spawn, you immediately jump here and deny their tanks who are trying to use this area out of sight of the spawners. You deny them coming out of this doorway here. So you don't let them out of here. Which is why you see Winstons and Divas and Genjis jumping up here to spray down this hallway against the other Winstons, Divas, and whatever. And you'll usually have to drop bubble and use defense matrix here. Meanwhile, you have just a Zenyatta on payload, contributing his Harmony and possibly his Discord Orbs, trying his best to get the payload beyond this and force this team to retreat and take this next objective. Okay? Why does this work as the attackers? Well, you don't let the tanks out. So the only person on payload is Genji and maybe Tracer, if they're running the Tracer instead of like a Widow. Or their hit scan up here. So there's 1 or 2 people on the payload, and since you've only devoted 2 here, and they have 2 here, and the attackers likely have their healers up here, another 2, and then they have 2 on spawn, then you have 4 on payload. With payload advantage of healing you 10 heal per second, health per second, and you have spawn advantage, right? And you likely have positioning because this is on low ground and you kind of see them coming if some of you hang back. So you're eventually going to win this fight. So this is not long-term defensible, and the stall will be minimal, and you'll gain some will charge from it, and these tanks will end up being forced to retreat when their DPS go. So that's how you defend against it. What do we see here instead?
What did you do? I was using a fucked up shopping cart and it like jarred to the left and I smashed it into a divider bar.
No, actually.
We should decide
I can try.
which of our 2 DPS is going to swap when we get there. If not for the...
I want to hear this
Number
conversation,
one,
I'm sorry.
No, actually.
Quick question, guys.
Yo, what's up?
Do we want to try running a Widow? If not for the first point, certainly for last point. And if so, we should decide which of our 2
Widow is like the only good hit scan on this map. Soldier defense is fine, and McCree, like you can get away with hit scans on defense for first and second point. Third point, the engage distances are a little bit too long for anyone who's not Soldier or Widow. Like the McCree definitely has some more issues there. As attackers, you really have to work to get your hit scan on high ground for them to be effective. It works on very certain portions of the map, but fighting an entrenched team who's aware of that, like controlling the space shuttle on second point when your hit scan is stuck on the ground is an action in futility.
DPS is going to swap when we get there.
Who's playing Tracer?
While Rondo is
I mean,
on.
we can
Wait,
try.
hang on. Wait a second.
I was
one
just
thing
thinking
to
for
consider-
third point, specifically for Widow. That's
mean,
what I was
thinking
mostly
too, but-
thinking.
Considered that PQI is a really good Widow too. So are you who is a better Widow
Well,
than PQI?
The thing is, we need a Widow to contest it.
You do need generally a Widow to contest a Widow. Alright, so we have these 2 compositions. From the defense, we have something that's really standard. Really nice dive defense. We have a Mercy back here to pocket. I don't like the Lucio because of how split people are going to be on the high ground. You already have the Mercy in the back line to peel for a potential Zenyatta, and while she's peeling for the Zenyatta, she makes herself available to the Widow through damage boost and pocketing there. So like there's no reason to run this. Really. Like this is weaker than a Zenyatta would be. The Tracer's fine. Tracer does have some issues getting onto high ground, but as a defender, you really have the advantage of where to pick your fights, so you can pick your fight when Tracer is in position for a flank or to get onto someone from the high ground. As the attackers, we see Pharah. Pharah is okay in general because of this high ground, but suffers from the fact that Widow is so good here, and the Widow's likely to have a pocket. So it's difficult for Grape to find good engages when the entire high ground space is kind of dominated by this hit scan. Other than that, seems standard. What the attacking team needs to do, though, is control this space. Control this doorway. And I don't think we're going to see it.
Alright, let's go. Potentially.
So what an attacking team will do sometimes is they have a Hanzo up here. So one of the supports, probably boat mode, swaps to Hanzo and fires a sonic arrow against this wall so they can see the people lingering here. When they do that, they're like, oh, we need to jump up there. He switches to Zen, and they deny them this entrance. The Widow here doesn't make sense to me. The Widow should probably be here to set up like a crossfire, along with the Mercy. Tracer could certainly be in here. Alternatively, Tracer could be on the ground looking to like assist there.
Potentially.
They're all up there.
Alright, so only the D.Va goes up there.
Okay.
They eventually deny it, but these guys did not commit to the payload. So this first dive defense is
Who are we on?
kind of
What
failed.
are they running?
So because you don't hold them early, they are very, very likely to get this under here. And so the first real fight actually happens here. In order to prevent that, the Widow needs to find a pick, because you're not going to find anyone else. There's no one who's going to be good to jump here.
Payload.
They're running standard dive.
They're just giving it point for free.
Yep.
This is rough.
Monkey, 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 monkey.
Now Monkey should die.
I can't really peek much.
Monkey is by his fucking self. These people can pocket each other.
Monkey, monkey, monkey.
Mercy, 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 mercy one, mercy one, mercy.
Yep, got her, got her.
Yep,
Deep.
it's a huge mistake to drop down on a team here. You really don't have good retreat paths, and anyone who hasn't dropped, you create an imbalance in number of people who can focus you versus whom you can focus. So if your team isn't coordinated enough to all drop at once, the Widow who's left up here can't assist anyone who's down here. The Lucio who was up there can't assist anyone who's down here, and when the Mercy goes down, she's finding herself in a, what was it, like a 2v5? Because these people here are still contributing to any fight here. But you're line of sighted due to this corner.
D.Va, D.Va, D.Va.
Monkey's out. Monkey Discord.
Lucio, Lucio.
Oh fuck! I had
Nice.
orb on you last second. Discord Monkey. He's top.
It's fine, we have a Mercy res.
Where is she?
There you go. So good on this, good on Team 40 to push this as much as they can. If they can collect this Winston, that will be enormous for them. If they can collect this Lucio, that will be enormous for them. Team 37 might not actually get a good fight this first point.
Let's get on the cart. Get on the cart.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm on the way.
Monkey.
A little bit. Tracers
So the tank should be playing up and preventing this spawn,
back here.
preventing the contest. There's no reason to have everyone here. There's no reason to not deny this Widow space.
Shit.
What is top right?
Uh,
Jumping the
Top left,
Widow.
top left. Yell me behind you.
Top right, but yeah.
Got the Widow. And Lucio.
Winston got res, watch out.
Lucio's low. Lucio low.
This is not a great fight from Team 37.
Lucio low on the right.
I think it's a
Lucio
little
low on the
rushed,
Scored on
and
him.
it's showing
Right.
here.
He's half.
I'm on
Like
him.
they could have spent more time to regroup here. They didn't need to res the Winston,
Oh,
Sure,
he's out.
nice.
Yeah,
and so they never got a clean
Alright,
fight here
Payload,
first phase.
payload.
Yep, I'm on it.
Jump.
Okay.
Push.
It was well enough done by
Shit's
Team
fine.
40, but I think it's more like Team 37 fucked it. Alright, so let's talk about second phase. Second phase is also pretty good. Once this door closes and the defenders get held, coming out of like these entrances is miserable for any type of shield composition. Not that you really want to run it to begin with. As defenders, you have play from this high ground and this high ground, but the first real time you get to contest the point is really as it comes this way, if you're not already set up in a shooting gallery. The high ground on this map is also, as expected, fantastic. This ship will dictate, whoever controls the ship kind of controls the point and has the upper hand here. If the defending team controls this, then this whole area is suspect to be in, and the attacking team has such distances to close that poke damage really starts to eat into them. Thankfully for the attacking team, it's likely because the last fight of point 1 occurs just outside the checkpoint that the defenders will be staggered, and so they can roll through this phase that would otherwise be a little bit awkward if held just after these doors close. And so the first real fight happens like just as this comes up the ramp here, generally. So it's up to Team 40 here to stagger, and it's up to Team 37 here to
On the ship,
leave.
I can't really
I'm
get
Lucio,
it.
Lucio.
I'm on payload. Discord
We
on
got
Lucio, get him.
we got Lucio.
This
Yes,
is
you
all
can.
free. Yep.
Nope, we can't. Back up, Bagel,
That
back up.
sucks.
Alright. Unable to
Back
get
up.
anyone.
That was a fat peak.
Get the monkey, get the monkey.
I didn't get peak on that.
I didn't get.
Alright, so the Widow's here. Alright, so team isn't entirely controlling high ground now. What I would like to see from the attacking team's dive tanks is to go onto shuttle and drop down from the back of it. While playing with the Pharah like around this side as well, and denying this back corner here from the Widow, so she's forced to play on the ground. She will be... So the idea here is that Widow on the low ground gets dropped on, and then she hooks away, and then the tanks use their mobility cooldowns to chase. And she's fucked.
Get wet, but I pushed her off the ship.
Same with the Mercy. God, I hope that gets 0 people. Thank God. Why are we Valking? So, this team is unlikely to take a fight until here. They should just line of sight this. Why do we Valk?
Good job.
Tracer point.
She's half
Slow.
Discord.
Widow down.
Alright,
Nice
we get a
on Widow.
person thanks to Grape.
I'm pushing.
Pushing.
Now we might actually be able to
Diva back low, Diva
do
back
this. Good pocket on the blading Genji.
low.
Going over
But now their ultimates might be
ship
slightly
and
more
look for an
effective.
ult.
Alright, so Team 37 is making a mistake in that they're staggered. They lost someone early during Valk. They lost the Widow during Valk, so their entire team needs to go and actually just die on payload and stall as long as possible. People who can get out, get out. The rest of them just die on payload. This payload has yet to be properly contested this whole point, and it's now beyond the point where you'd really want to contest it. So they're likely to lose this because they're down people, despite burning ultimates. And so this payload is just going to cap, so they don't get a proper fight here in second phase either.
On Winston.
Winston, he's discarded.
Discord Winston.
Wow, you let her res right here. Kill this kill this baby diva.
Mercy.
Got him.
Kill the baby diva.
Diva?
Diva.
Okay, that's a shame. Anyway, you'll collect the ult charge anyway.
Mercy.
Boat's positioning has been good here.
Nice.
Slowly pushing the payload, getting
One
off
point,
of it
right?
when his
Okay,
tanks
we're
are
good.
on.
1 point. Sorry, I backed off.
Pushing.
I just didn't see the number.
Third phase is also kind of shitty for the defenders. You don't really have a good place to contest right away, and if you're staggered, they collect all this.
Yeah.
Nice job, Tracer.
So if you're in this position, Zenyatta, you just go die. You're not getting out. Just go jump off.
Nice. Oof.
Send.
That's a huge mistake.
Turn left, send.
Zen.
Oh, what a fat.
There's no need for that.
Fucking
At least I
monkey.
didn't kill myself. I almost did.
So you stagger yourself for an additional 5 to 10 seconds,
Zen's down.
preventing your team from actually taking anything,
Monkey's still back here?
No.
while donating 200 worth of ult
No.
charge. So this is where the first fight usually happens, right around this corner, as this cart makes its way up the ramp. The important things are this high ground and this high ground generally, and ways of contesting them. If you're Tracer, you can actually triple blink from like the mini here onto the SPAC here, which is kind of doesn't factor into these high grounds, but it's something I figured I'd point out. Otherwise, jumping like this wall here to contest this high ground is what you're looking to do. Soldier here is looking to play here. Defensively, offensive hit scans generally want to play here first, and then rotate to here in the final stages. Widows can just fucking stay here. Widow's still fantastic on this. but we're looking to not get staggered further as the card comes around here from Team 37.
We're fair now. Pharmacy.
Yep. They're running pharmacy.
Alright, grab this your time.
I don't have eyes. I tagged her,
Mercy
though.
half, mercy half.
I have a soldier.
Okay, I'm back on cart.
Same.
Discord Farah.
Fire above.
It's so greedy.
I tagged
Watch
her.
this Farah's
half, mercy
position.
half.
I have a soldier.
So, she like you kind of want to fight for this, but you want to play for it like up here as far, because if you drift too far this way, you have no cover and nowhere to go.
Okay, I'm back
So
on
she
cart.
just ends up over here chunked,
Discord Farah.
Fire above.
and then
Got
gets
her.
low. Alright, so the Zenyatta actually here's
Mercy
in this
half.
position too.
I have a soldier.
So Zenyatta, as they approach here, should be kind of leaving himself on the staircase or down here. Rotating in and out and using this as cover. He doesn't want to be on payload when their tanks are on payload.
Okay, I'm back on cart.
He's too close.
Discord
Because
Farah.
Zenyatta isn't, not
Fire
in a
above.
good position.
Got her.
That should trigger a dive on him.
Winston.
Monkey on
Winston.
me.
The Mercy's not reacting to this. It's okay, we end up transplanting. That seems fine.
Nice ult.
Drop on this. Push up.
They'll
Still on
they'll
Mercy,
continue
up.
the
Mercy on
snowball.
payload. Mercy on payload. Discord.
On Mercy.
Monkey on me.
Seems fine, seems
I'm
fine.
getting
You need to pocket your healer.
Zen.
Nice, good
Soldier
shit.
brooped.
Holy
I might
shit.
die. I'm
Okay.
dead.
Well,
Alright,
you can
discard.
res him.
Nice. Alright.
Why does Rezi use this?
Monkey
Does
on
he
me.
get low?
I'm getting Zen.
Nice, good
Soldier
shit.
brooped.
Sure,
I might die. I'm dead.
Monkey
Alright.
discarded.
Nice.
Alright, his aggressive here, like, the team focus was split. There's no reason necessarily for him to go to Zen. He doesn't even get it, and he loses his mech and ult in the process. Yes. I don't know if I entirely
Alright,
agree
keep
with
going.
that. He gets a soldier, though. And now this guy's fucked. Just completely fucked. And Bagel is going to be here with his ultimate to deny this entire thing. So Team 37 never got a clean fight this
Push.
entire map.
Uh-oh.
Baby Diva.
Diva.
Mercy on
Turn right,
point.
turn right. Mercy,
Got her.
mercy.
Winston.
Winston on me on point. Discord. Nice kill. Wow, you guys are greedy.
Hot damn.
Woo!
Team 37 really fucked
That was smoking.
fucked that one up.
Yo, I made the Widow switch into the Pharah.
There you go.
Well
That
done
was
by
good.
Team 40 to punish their mistakes.
Deep dick.
There are a few things I would have changed, but
Dive defense, I guess.
it's a real failure to
Straight up.
execute
I
by
think
the one
so.
team.
Yeah.
Do.
Unless you
What
want
is this about?
Zenyatta layers.
What DPS are we playing?
They'll probably think PQ will run Widow on attack here.
Probably.
He didn't. Did he? What'd they run?
I figured we did, so they will. They seem to like that. I don't know why. Or maybe that's just my interpretation.
Parrot defense.
Good try Ana, but
Do you guys want to do a really aggressive, like, fight on cart, die on cart, so that we can get a second defense, or do you want to play it like they did? If we go really aggressive, we can get a second fight.
How about once
yeah,
you
but
cross
then
this
we would
this
also
line,
we might
with
also be
this-
feeding.
With these bottles, we jump on them.
So you are, in a sense, feeding. Like you're holding this far up isn't sustainable, but that's fine. What you're doing though is not risking it all in one fight. You're looking to drain the clock as much as possible because you're playing for the map. You're not playing to win any individual fight. Yes, if you take it sloppy, you end up feeding ult charge. But what you're doing is you're trading that ultimate charge for payload distance and opportunities to delay them. And that's what's important. The only thing that matters is distance. If you have a really shitty KDA, but you have fought them 10 times over the span of these 4 minutes along this payload, because this shit never got the chance to move. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then, like, you've done your job.
Yeah, but if we give them alt roll if we do that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
we-
too late now. So.
Okay, we'll just play back here. That's
Like,
fine.
don't plan to die. You know what I mean?
No, You
You're
know
not planning to die, but you're planning on when you are going to die, that payload has not moved. That's the entire purpose of this. So let's look at
I
team
mean,
comps
like,
here
you
in a
fight on
second.
card
Fuck. It's really
so
what
that it
is.
I
doesn't
mean,
move.
that's a
Yeah.
good strategy in certain positions, but I don't
Yeah.
think
This is like the perfect position to do it, honestly.
here.
Okay, it's fine.
Alright. So we have dive people playing high ground because they're not taking the first fight. If they don't get an opening, this whole thing is just going to be like a posturing show. They don't have anything to really influence this unless like Boat gets a lucky right click or this guy does something or someone's horrendously out of position. So this entire first phase is likely not to have anything happen until here. If you drop down onto them here, you have the issues I was saying kind of before where the people in high ground can't really leverage it because they're looking straight down, and then you can dive up top. And so like then you're coming staggered out for the last fight, so this is kind of really fucking awkward. As for comps, we do have a hit scan being pocketed by Mercy. Seems good. The hit scan needs to find his way onto a high ground to really work his advantage. Seems bad from an attacking perspective. While this is really standard, look to have Zenyatta set up on some high ground or some back position with Lucio pocketing him. While the rest of the team kind of runs crazy, Tracer does have the issue of, contesting high ground once again and getting there, but
Running before we decide what, like,
Right.
whether to
them coming up here is a fucking mistake.
dive early.
Diva's
Is
left
it not-
side.
It's not that bad. Everyone's just
Discord somebody
poking.
back there.
Yeah, it's all good.
Honestly, this guy being this low, I don't...
Whether to dive early.
Diva's
Is
left
it not-
side.
Watch how low this Zenyatta gets.
Discord somebody back there.
That should trigger a dive. That could be one of the reasons why you decide to contest here. Honestly. Getting him down will force them back.
Yeah, it's all good. On Mercy right now. Just poking.
McCray and Genji.
Okay, we need to.
If you get a Discord on it, like, these guys are kind of low. Like, this is diveable, this is diveable in their positions. They're not respecting the team. They need to be further back this way, for the most part. If you can get a Discord on any one of them, even if without the Discord, I'd go.
Drop to cart. I'm gonna drop to cart to hold.
Discord Zen.
I'm gonna
Discord Zen. Zen is horrendously out of position.
Zen's one. Zen's one. Nice. Mercy.
Nice.
I mean
Alright,
Genji.
so a little slow on the uptake, but we eventually
Sorry.
Genji, Genji.
Genji's down.
contest this.
Jumping,
Winston on me. High
Because we
ground. High
want a
ground.
poke
Winston.
battle.
Okay, coming.
Winston's alone up there.
Back down,
Coming,
back down.
coming. Winston's one. Literally one. Literally one. Tickle him.
All right. I'm
Tickle him.
walking around the high ground.
Mercy on the left. Nice.
That was decent by Team 40. Like I said, a little bit delayed. What do you do in Team 30's perspective there? Well, you need to feint a dive, basically, and get away with it. Because you have McCree, it's not going to be easy, but what you need to do is jump the high ground to contest it as the payload's pushing, and then drop back down to your team once you run out of resources, but not before you run out of a lot of health, because they're going to re-engage you down here.
Nice job.
Nice. All right. Back up.
Back up. Try and get high ground again if we can.
Fuck.
That felt a little messy, but it was a
It felt
no,
perfect.
good hold.
We squished him.
Okay, I'm gonna hold cart.
Jumping.
Fuck.
Shield done.
He gets completely
McCray.
fucked here.
McCray.
McCray.
Diva's on me.
Zen.
Alright, this was split,
Zen.
but Zen's going to die.
Discord. Discord Mercy.
Zen.
Oh, I went the wrong way.
Yeah, no need to beat here.
That was a little
Mercy
late.
up top.
Fuck.
Fine.
Genji dove me. Back one.
Just
Mercy's
fight on
res.
cart.
Do we have?
Spinal
Are
card.
we holding or?
Yeah.
Wow,
just
they
don't,
used an ult
just
for
don't let
this.
cart move. Keep fighting on cart. Be there soon.
Alright, we're gonna start the trickle now. There's only 3 of us
Yeah,
here.
there's that concern for sure.
We can hold like
Okay,
corner.
Yeah.
back
hold
up, back
corner,
up, back up.
Good eventual disengage. It was a little bit late on the Divas
That's
part,
last second
Yep.
with
but
4-6.
that's fine.
Yep.
You should know that they're likely to have pretty much every ult but this one. But you should have basically every ult but that one too. So
This will give me.
I've got bomb too.
I'm here.
you're just looking
Alright,
to stall the
I'm,
payload out
go.
as long as
100% ult,
possible.
so
We're here,
if I don't die right away.
Push in.
2 up top. I'm gonna die to this Winston and
Diva.
McCray.
There was no reaction to that. Okay. So Zenyatta wants to... That's not Zenyatta. I'm used to him playing Zen. Who's this? Oh, this is their McCree. Their Zenyatta's too close right now. Who would I send up here instead? Maybe probably their Diva or Winston is here. Genji maybe on payload while the Zenyatta stays back in Cyber with the McCree around there.
Diva.
Up top.
Oh, sorry.
If this was more coordinated between Dirty Rez and the Winston, like, the McCree just dies here.
Winston, on point.
The Zenyatta also dies.
Winston.
Mercy low, Mercy low.
Fuck.
Why does Rez
Die right away.
ult?
Push in, push in.
Two up top. Uh-oh, I'm gonna die to this Winston.
Diva.
So you're down one, you're not really looking... You'll have to commit ultimates to overcome of it, but you're still kind of just wanting to stall until then, so you can just use tank ultimates here.
Winston, on point. Winston.
Mercy low, Mercy
Alright, there's a miscommunication of I'm going to trance to save your mech.
low.
So we end up using both of those stall ultimates at the same time.
Winston's
But
alone.
returning the
Sen,
fight
sen,
in
sen,
the
sen,
duration
sen,
of
sen.
this.
Winston's won.
That's terrible.
Literally won.
No, he's
Not
not.
anymore.
Nice attempt on the bomb though.
Sen pop trans.
Winston,
What else
Winston,
they-
So
Winston.
Team 37
Winston.
can't win
Oh,
this
boy,
now.
that's-
Just burn the Winston.
It's not good.
Winston discarded.
I'm dead.
Got him.
Ooh! 43 health.
I think I like the blade actually. It'll just secure this fight.
Nice, guys.
Okay, who are we on? We're on McCree.
I don't have eyes on anyone.
Coming back.
What?
Genji.
Let's the rest of the
Nice.
team clean up, ult charge,
Back up.
and rebuild theirs. Seems fine. Yeah, just cycle through your ultimates.
Okay, whatever.
Alright, someone left. That's unfortunate. I need an
Coming back.
ultimate. That's doubly unfortunate.
What?
Genji.
Nice.
Clean up.
Alright, so we used 1, 2, 3 on the attacking team, and we used 1, 2, 3, 4.
Back up.
Whatever. We accomplished our objective, and we didn't.
Okay,
We're not
whatever.
horribly behind in ults.
Uh-oh, pause.
Oh, pause.
I don't know what button it is.
Nice. That's music. I'm gonna try to save.
Yeah.
Let's try to focus the DPS down first. And
Hope
if
you
I
guys are ready.
When it's dive versus dive, you don't really have entirely the option of focusing the DPS first. A lot of times, you have to. Who you're attacking has to be related onto like real time sort of positionings and cooldowns and awareness. It's not like, oh, we're always going to jump the McCree, because if he's positioned well, you're going to get countered over and you're going to get fucked. Like, he will force you to overreach for that shit. So it's not like, oh, we can focus their Genji. It's more like, oh, their Genji used dash, right? And because their Genji used dash, he's now vulnerable because he doesn't have the reset just yet, and now we can kill him. It's like in that second's
Yep, we're
decision
ready.
making.
I'm with you, monkey.
Also up here. Winston's up here.
What are you doing here?
Winston top.
It's fucking random. Lucio, just stay with boat mode. I think boat mode's actually like a little too close too. But
Okay,
based on his team
there
strength,
goes
it
down.
seems fine.
I had to drop
Okay,
down.
they're
Hell no.
probably.
Yeah, I'm healing
We're
up.
still on Genji.
With-
He's
Okay,
blading.
there's Gen- Okay, there
Genji.
jumps down.
Discord.
I had to drop
Okay,
down.
they're
Hell no.
probably.
Yeah, I'm healing
We're
up.
still on Genji.
With-
He's blading.
Our beat is late. Where's our Lucio?
Okay, there's Genji.
Oh, she was on high ground. Alright, so if like... That's a shame. And it's going to be in the bubble. That's even a bigger shame.
Ah.
What a... That's a really bad beat drop. Okay, so Lucio and Zenyatta need to be together. 100%. The only reason why we even run Lucio is to make sure Zenyatta doesn't die. That's how important Zenyatta is to this composition. When you're running Mercy, that's also the Mercy's primary job is to pocket the Zenyatta and keep him alive. And then she makes herself available to whatever hit scan is also in the backline. But she's primarily there for peel. Had you been next to your Zenyatta here, you boop him away, following the follow-up dash here, and speed him the fuck out of there. and maybe he lives. If you're closer to him, that beat drop happens much faster as well. Your reaction was a little bit low. We didn't start to cast the beats until he was like basically already dead. I don't really get to see it on here from the lack of it, but if I instead go,
I'm
They're
healing
probably
up. Yeah, I'm healing.
instead do this.
On Genji. He's
Boat's already taking damage.
fighting.
Genji.
Yeah, that's just delayed. So this fight's likely to not go in your favor because the beat is also ends up being wasted inside the bubble. That's unfortunate.
First point.
What you can do though is you can, if you're amping speed during your beat, you can land on one side of the bubble, and while your amplifier is connected to the ground sending out the sound wave, travel to the other side of the bubble and you'll get both sides.
On Mercy, on Mercy, on Mercy. Mercy's down.
So this fight needs to happen on payload to give boat mode the maximum time to come back.
On Diva, on Diva, on Diva.
Thankfully
one?
it is.
Diva 1.
Huge
Got
bomb.
On
Low,
Winston
low,
now.
low, low, healing.
Watch McCray.
On Zen.
McCray.
I'm almost back.
Oh, nice.
There's no reason for them to high noon,
Nice
but
job.
high noon is fucking awful anyway.
Sorry.
There's no reason for that either.
Got her.
Nah,
On
Low,
Winston
low,
now.
low,
Is there?
low, healing.
Watch McCray.
On Zen.
McCray.
I'm almost back.
Oh, nice.
Nice job.
Oh, he loses it there.
Sorry.
Okay.
I should have
All right,
saved that.
let me get
Oh, that
any
seems fine.
cleanup healing.
Alright, now they're switching off their comp.
Sorry.
So the McCree gets to change because he just used ult.
I should have
All right,
saved
let me.
that.
Let me get any cleanup healing.
Yeah,
Okay.
broken, you don't.
They're
Do they
chasing
have
me.
any?
But they lost their Mercy ult, which they might have been able to build.
Do they have any?
It's gonna be rough
The Mora is not going to have anything to do,
if
in all
I'm gonna
likelihood.
have a
They
hard
just
time.
swapped
No
to
recall.
Soldier.
Winston came over.
That
Nope,
bubble
not
here is
yet.
going to delay their push, so the Winston can be focused right now.
Oh, he came over with
He also doesn't have healing.
Someone's coming hallway.
I don't like this positioning down here. Generally, these two are going to stay up here and fight the poke and force these guys down off these boxes and then rotate to here. Them being on the ground is going to make it very
It's
difficult.
Diva. Diva's out of Mac.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Are they even gonna touch
Tracer,
the
Tracer
door?
back line on me.
Winston low,
Tracer on
Winston
me
low.
back line.
Where is our Lucio?
Went to low.
Where the fuck is our Lucio?
Damn it, dude.
Where did she die?
It's Diva. Diva's out of Mac.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
Ooh,
Oof.
Tracer,
Oof.
Tracer back line on me.
Oh, she's on point.
Winston low,
Tracer on
Winston
me
low.
back line.
Alright. So there's, yeah. Your job as Lucio is to protect this gentleman.
Winston low.
The Zenyatta dies because of you. And you die because you don't know where to position. So if they lose this,
Sorry,
it's
dude.
entirely your fault. It
I'm
doesn't
trying
look
to get
like
to you.
Honestly, I'm just.
76.
it doesn't look like they're going to
Zen.
at all.
I need to
Tracer,
get
but
better at that
that's-
matchup.
Tracer on point.
That's the sort of thing that
On
could
Tracer?
cost you a
I'm down.
round
Coming back. We're coming back. We're coming
in a
back.
different game.
Get this baby Diva. Or, sorry, this
Needles,
Tracer.
needles.
Bit- Fuck.
I'm stuck. Oh my
Moira back line. Moira Discord. Moira fade down.
She's
Discord.
one. Got her.
I'm on the cart still.
Monkey,
Winston.
Mora not being here to help the tanks is going to make things problematic. They
Diva's
can't get
on me.
off too much.
We got Mac. We got Trans. Veteran point.
Decent
be right there.
ults. They're stalling
Moira's
long enough
respawning.
though.
Where's coming out of spawn?
Oh, there he goes again.
Dude, I can't deal with baby close right now. He's just fucking destroying me.
Where
I
was...
just got a double. Get in here.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry
Recall
about
down,
it.
Recall
recall
down,
down,
recall
recall
As
down.
long as we're still,
Yeah, boat could have been positioned better
As
after
long
his
as we're-
trance
as long as we're
without the
selling.
Lucio there.
No recall. No recall.
Moira.
There's no way they get this right.
Tracer, no recall.
There's not enough
Yeah,
time left onto
boys.
it.
Nice.
Oof.
I feel
Alright.
like I fell off.
We're still kind of ingrained in our ways and looking to like bang our head against the wall of like one comp versus another. We saw it on Hanamura there, where we spent at least the first 2 minutes just kind of sitting outside of choke and getting staggered when we needed to create space via like a split push scenario, where the team does their best to individually get through the choke instead of getting through the choke collectively. We saw people like lose, particularly on like the Hanamura stall. We stopped target calling and we stopped keeping track of ultimates, which ultimately led to, well, them to capture second point. I'll bet be in overtime. Just a lot of like missed ultimates here. There's some misunderstanding of how to play Gibraltar from Team 37. They let themselves get staggered for their entire push. For Team 40's entire push. Really, really bad. They didn't have a proper fight their entire defense. Good on Team 40 for staggering them so. If they had held closer, they would have actually gotten a proper fight. As for their attack run, some mispositioning by supports on both sides led to team fights devolving. The only reason why Team 40 got to hold close is because either a Discord or poke or both resulted in enemy backlines being threatened, because their tanks weren't taking space away from Team 40's poke individuals. And then we saw like a Lucio and Zen just not sticking together. And so the Zen goes down. Saw some bad ultimates there as well. But generally, Team 40 played better than they have been outside of the Hanamura attack. I was generally pleased with that. There was some like cockiness in terms of positioning and what you thought you could get away with on Hanamura attack and defense, which resulted in using ultimates just kind of randomly and without purpose, not discussing what composition, the team not understanding what composition you want to run going into the next map also hurts you when you spend a lot of time discussing what someone should swap to as the enemy team is pushing and taking positions. And you also would tend to, in switching, lose a lot of your ult economy because you would switch with like 50% or more. So those are some things that I'd like to see you work on. Transitional comps, understanding that each individual fight doesn't matter so much as the objective that you're fighting over. You can take a losing fight on an objective and do really, really well if your goal is to stall them. Just be a fucking pest. And Dive does that really well because they can cycle on and off the payload. That's why Dive is so strong. Yeah, hope you find this useful.